So, Yugi, you think maybe I could borrow the Millennium Puzzle for the next couple duels? I mean, I'm the one who's doing all of the hard work here. I'm facing all the tough opponents, and we are trying to rescue your friend here, so maybe you should let me use the artifact that lets you cheat at card games. What do you mean that's not what the puzzle does? What do you mean the puzzle gets angry if anyone but you touches it? It's a freaking puzzle! I did not know you could actually talk to Yugi while he is following you around like this. Well, I guess I've got no choice. I have to do this on my own. Joey is at the pier, so let's head out there. And the welcoming committee is Bandit Keith yet again, with 4 generic ghouls that Yugi is going to fight all on his own, somehow, leaving me to deal with the big problem here. And Kartal has yet again made a crazy difficult duel. At least Keith doesn't have the Cocoon of Evolution, but he does have Ritual Monsters. Now, I haven't talked about Ritual Monsters all that much in Sacred Cards. They are incredibly impractical for the player to use, however the computer, if they have a Ritual Monster in their deck, can treat it like a normal monster, which is kind of a problem, because Ritual Monsters are completely immune to Elemental Rock, Paper, Scissors. So, that's going to be tough. We do not want to let Keith tribute for the Ritual Monsters that he has, but there is a Ritual Monster that you do not have to tribute for, which is also pretty awful and should not be in his deck, but you know how Kartal operates by this point. I guess I'll have to just Dark Hole and then Feather Duster to get rid of these, because I'm not taking any chances. Kartal loaded Keith's deck with crazy trap cards as well. My new deck is Fiend-focused because Keith's toughest monsters seem to be the Fiends. That is either a heavy defense monster or a dark monster. It was neither. It was a decently defensible monster. But I can destroy it with a Fiend, so there's that. And that's probably another of the same card. Okay, baited out the trap, that's good. This is going surprisingly well. Alright, Lajin is fine. I can use a Dream Monster. Lucky I still have one of those. Lucky I drew Big Eye at the start. It's like the only Dream Monster I have anymore. And he's gonna steal one of my monsters with Change of Heart and then tribute it for a Dream Monster? Wow, nice going, Keith. The AI being terrible is the only reason I'm surviving this. Is he out of monsters? He is out of monsters, it looks like. I don't think he's going to be able to... Oh yeah, I can... Well, I can't destroy that with a Fiend monster, so I'm not out of the woods yet. This I can get rid of it with. Okay, Keith is beaten. That took more attempts than it should have, but you get a lot of deck capacity out of it. And you actually get Zera the Mant. Look at its deck cost, it's been reduced too. These things costed 255 deck cost, which is not really a tough obstacle to overcome. You're supposed to use the ritual cards to summon them, but you can put them in your deck anyways. And just use them normally like the computer does. Also, Kartal pointed this out to me. There's a weird sprite in the top left corner of the screen for some reason. I never noticed it until he pointed it out. I think you can also, like, go into this building or something later. Maybe that only happens later on. Alright, so there's this screen for some reason. I don't know why this is here. I am at a loss for words. Kartal, if I didn't know better, I'd say you were pulling a fast one on me. You know that? Let's just move on before I get really mad. So I had this whole speech prepared about how this is an iconic scene from the show, and in the English dub they actually don't bother with the Shadow Realm junk, they just tell it like it is. These two are gonna duel, and they're going to have their ankles chained to a giant anchor, and rather than just drop anchor and kill them, Merrick has to beat Yugi in a duel. Apparently that's the rules for winning a Millennium item. Or a God card, I guess. But in this version of the events, Merrick possessing Joey actually does manage to win because Yugi can't inflict such a fate upon his best friend. I mean, like, that should probably void the duel, as far as the Millennium items go. And you get a choice to not go in and save Yugi. But of course, the game just loops over and over until you decide to dive in. And then it's our turn to duel. None of this makes any sense. Why would I play against Merrick? Why does Merrick want to bother with me? And besides, why would I take him on under the same conditions? So, the theme here is direct damage. Joey has a lot of direct damage cards. There's this, which does an automatic 2,000 damage you can't avoid. He's got a bunch of warrior monsters, and one of them can inflict 2,000 damage on this field. It starts as a meadow field, which will power up all of his warrior monsters. But I've got wind monsters. So as long as there's no trap card, there isn't. How do you like that? So yes, I've loaded up my deck with wind cards. Let's hope I draw into the good ones before I start losing again. Ah, just automatically destroy one of my monsters, and it's a dark card too, so that makes it even worse. I'm dark holding that. I need to get damage, and I need to get it early. Oh my goodness, is his hand completely dead? Wow. His hand is dead. Okay then. I got lucky yet again. Sometimes you can just take half your life points out on the first 2 turns. He ran into the trap, that's good. Heavy Storm will help. This is not going to be enough. But he's so low on health that just like one good hit is all I need to win now. Oh yeah, throw in a forest monster, that's fine. Heavy Storm, and then I can use Fiend's Hand, and I win. Yet again, I've hyped up this duel, but it really did take like 4 or 5 attempts to actually win this. That's a lot of deck capacity, but it's well-deserved. And you get Meteor Black Dragon, which he can summon if he is allowed to tribute. This is sort of an iconic monster from the show. Its connection to the Red Eyes Black Dragon is the only real reason it shows up in Joey decks. I really think Yugi should be the main character of this, like the player character. There's no real reason for the player character to exist, because they kind of have to inject him, or shoehorn rather, the player character into a plot that doesn't already involve them. This is the same problem that Fire Emblem 12 has, being a remake of an older game. But we've saved Joey. It kind of reminds me of another Yu-Gi-Oh! Game on the DS called Nightmare Troubadour, where in order to save Joey from this situation, you have to get a draw against him. And you're actually given the cards necessary to do that. Joey forced a draw in his duel with Yugi in the show. So, makes kind of a little bit of sense. So after saving Joey, you're not really given any direction on where to go next, so you're kind of left to explore a little bit. And that's fine for Joey because he needs to get his last locator card. I wonder who's gonna have it. Well, with that out of the way, I'm gonna save, because I don't want to have to get lucky like that again. And I think an optional event opens up at the aquarium, so let's have a look. Alright, there should be an optional event at the aquarium, so let's head there now. Ah yes, it's this character. This is another one-off character that the anime introduces. I don't think he's in the manga, but his name is Jean-Claude Magnum. Kind of a parody of Jean-Claude Van Damme, the actor. And he's not really a nice guy. He seems to really, really want to go out with my Valentine for some reason. I mean, I know My Valentine is very beautiful and has the perfect name for a date, but... and she just leaves us to deal with him. She says he's an amateur, but this is Kartal's patch. So you know what's gonna happen, right? I've seen a little bit of his deck. It's kind of similar to the deck Joey just had, so... yes, warrior monsters, so that's why the field is meadow. I'm gonna throw out some direct damage of my own. I'm gonna take a chance and go for this. Oh, okay. A defensive monster. A water monster at that. Should have used stop defense first, I guess. Tributes for a dark monster. I might be able to overcome this. I really don't know, though. I just don't have anything right now I can deal with. Okay, so that's actually a game-exclusive card, which is interesting to learn about. Please give me something good. Dark Hole, okay. I can work with that. Not gonna use it now, I'll just take the hit. That's a lot of damage, because the setting up a meadow field at the start. I mean, we're at the aquarium, it should really be a water field. This is Reflect Founder, by the way. I have no idea if I've actually used it because I've lost track. But what it does is you contribute it, and it will do as much damage as the highest attack monster on the field has, but I'm just using it as a regular attacker because it's actually pretty good for that. So once you have the upper hand against Jean-Claude Magnum, not really a lot he can do, but definitely Feather Duster his cards if he puts them face down. Okay, this is turning out a lot better. I've already had one failed attempt against this guy. Hello, Raigeki! Hello, Doron. Okay, Pot of Greed is good. Trapmaster's a warrior, so it's actually getting a bit of a boost. Please Tribute. Yeah, okay, he did that. But little did he know there was a second trap card. Okay, an Earth Monster. Still can't take that out. I'll just do it like this. Getting some lucky draws in this duel, I gotta say. Okay, is that a light monster? Seems like it would be. Nope, just Armed Ninja. That's a very weak card for him to have at this point. But I suppose there were no other ninja cards. There's not really a lot of those. In fact, one of his cards was actually a game-exclusive card. It was never printed. The Steel Fan Fighter. So for beating him, you get a decent amount of deck capacity and the Red Archery Girl, the non-Toon version of Toon Mermaid. Okay. I think I had that already, but... you know, I gotta say that's the most accurate depiction of a Hollywood star I've ever seen. There shouldn't be anything I can't get. Well, that duel was optional. So with him out of the way, time to save again, and I really have no idea what kind of deck I'm going to be up against in the next duel. So I guess I'll just wing it for the time being. Quite literally, I'm using the wind deck still. So your next destination is actually the Art Museum. And there we run into another new character. This is Ishizu Ishtar, the sister of Merrick. She's got a Millennium item too, and she's actually going to be helpful to us. And he's done it again. I've had to seriously overhaul my deck once more. Oh boy. Alright, so the Art Museum is the only place in Sacred Cards where you have to face 2 duels in a row without saving. Knowing this, Kartal made the second duelist very, very difficult. And there are implications concerning the fact that you have to fight 2 duels in a row without saving, but I'll get to that later. In the meantime, Ishizu is going to tell us the secret behind the Duel Monsters card game, how it's actually based on battles that took place thousands of years ago between real wizards and real monsters. interesting inspiration for a card game. But then again, I suppose, like, mythical demons and stuff have been the inspiration for video game monsters forever. So, whatever. Ishizu wants to test our might with a duel, so we oblige. She's a very easy opponent, all things considered. Like, considering the cards that I have at this point, it should not be difficult to defeat her. Even though she has a lot of power-up cards, she has a lot of life point recovery cards, she's got the Swords of Revealing Light, and I'm not even allowed to know what that face-down card is. Maybe something weak offensively? I'm going to use Stop Defense to reveal it. It is a mystical elf. That's beatable if I use Spellbinding Circle, and then attack with 7 colored fish. Yeah, I've just thrown in a bunch of high attack, no tribute monsters. And there's Soul of the Pure, 2,000 free life points. And she keeps that in attack position for some reason. So far, so good. She hasn't managed to turn the tables yet, and just in case she does, I have some power-ups. I don't think she's heavy on the trap cards, but she does have a 2,000 defense monster there, Banisher of the Light. And end this a little bit sooner. I think you would have to make Ishizu relatively easy because she's the first of 2 opponents, again, that you have to beat without saving. Right, it looks like she's going to be done rather quickly. She does have a bunch of stall cards, but it looks like she hasn't drawn most of them. Mountain is something she has, because she has some winged beast monsters and Follow Wind to go along with that. I don't think that's going to be enough to beat me. Especially if I just do this. So, you're going to notice that she gives you a very low amount of deck capacity. At least low compared to other opponents at this time, but a lot of money and a fairly okayish card. So the reason her deck capacity yield is so low is because Kartal knows that if you beat Ishizu and then lose to the second duelist, then you go back to having to face Ishizu again, which technically means Ishizu is a repeatable boss duelist. So in the vanilla game, you could farm a lot of deck capacity and money from her simply by losing to the second duelist intentionally. And you don't really have to do that. I mean, vanilla Sacred Cards is still really easy, and Kartal didn't really change the card shop prices, so you can still really buy whatever you want just from the money the game gives you. But hey, if you want to farm money and cards, go right ahead. Anyways, Ishizu explains that she wants to stop her brother from doing anything evil. And to do that, she's going to give us one of the Egyptian god cards, but only if we face Seto Kaiba in a duel and win. They had to shoehorn this Seto Kaiba duel because when we get to the finals of the tournament, you'll see that they had to change the plot in order to accommodate the player character. So we don't duel him there, we have to do it here. And Seto Kaiba has been made into a very tough opponent. You can see that he starts with a 1900 point attacker. One that goes down thanks to it being a fiend, but he's just gonna... well, if he drew another fiend, that's fine. But he's got a bunch of crazy cards. A lot of 1800 point attackers, one that goes up to 2000. There are a couple of interesting things about this duel, though. In the vanilla version of the game, in the Japanese Sacred Cards, this duel would actually have some voice acting to go along with it. When you face Yugi, Joey, and Kaiba in duels, and I think Merrick as well at the end, they have some voice acting, but only in the Japanese version, not in the English version. I guess they couldn't get the English actors to do a couple clips for a game. In Reshape of Destruction, even the English version has some voice acting, and it's not a lot of acting. It's really just like them saying, "It's my turn," and commanding their ace monsters to attack. Alright, I was hoping for a Feather Duster. I do not want to know what's face down right now. That's just a widespread. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and get some free damage with this. He's almost down. And this has been very lucky. He hasn't pulled out anything stupid right now. Unfortunately, I don't have any monsters. I can weaken his monster, Maybe that'll make him tribute. Yeah, that's good. That's good for him to do that. If I could just get a monster, everything would be fine. I've got some life. I'm gonna risk it. Because I don't want a Dark Hole and then not draw a monster. Okay, now I can Dark Hole. And I have to be aware of the fact that there's a face down on the field now, too. Still no monster card. I guess I just put in too many, like, top-tier monster cards. I had to fill the rest with spells. Okay, instead of attacking, I'm going to use Reflect Bounder's effect, because that won't trigger a trap. I think this is the first time I've, like, actually used the effect. So it takes the highest monster's attack and deals that amount of damage. And that wins it for me. Thank goodness. And you get Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. You have to tribute 3 monsters for this thing if you actually use it. Which is weird, because you're actually going to get another 3 tribute monster that is actually better than Ultimate Dragon. Because Obelisk is probably... Actually, like, all 3 God cards are pretty equal in this game. Equally useless, if you ask me, because having to tribute 3 monsters, that's going to be difficult to set up. Also, she has voice acting here in the Japanese version as well. I know that because speedrunners prefer the Japanese script. It goes by faster, like, less time spent on viewing the text. So we got the first God card, and speaking of the God cards, I haven't mentioned this at all yet, but if you go into your trunk and sort by attack, I actually do have the Winged Dragon of Ra. The reason for that is Kartal gives you the Winged Dragon of Ra at the beginning of the game, and the reason he does that is, normally in the vanilla game you get the Winged Dragon of Ra at the end of the game, but then the credits roll immediately, and you're not allowed to use it at all, because it just gets taken away from you. So this is Kartal's way of allowing us to use the Winged Dragon of Ra. I never used it because I think it would be too good. I mean, you still have to do 3 tributes in order to get it, but it probably would be just a little bit too powerful for the early game. Alright, so using the locator cards, the location of the finals for the tournament have been revealed. And this guy got here. So we have 4 finalists so far. Yugi, Joey, Namu, as he calls himself, and me. And also Tristan and Taya are allowed in here as well, even though they're not duelists. My Valentine got into the finals, naturally. She had all of her cards already, I think. She took the last one from Joey, of course. And Kaiba made it to the finals, and so did Bakura. Just one more. And in order for this mysterious duelist to appear, you have to actually talk to everyone, I think. It's one of those moments. And if you completed the side quest before, My Valentine gives you a free card. It's another Cyber Harpy! I already won one from you. But, okay. Yes, we'll be dueling on an airship. Like, on the roof of a giant blimp, which was probably not the safest thing to do, but this is Seto Kaiba we're talking about. Something that is a little bit annoying, though, is that if you, like, lose any duels or anything, then you have to, like, walk all the way back up here to wherever the duel is taking place. And this mysterious man is here. He claims to be Merrick Ishtar. So that's our last finalist. In the show, Ishizu was also a finalist, but she's been replaced by me. That's fine. So you see that statue on the right? That's what they used to determine the pair-ups for the finals. And, that got turned into an actual card, believe it or not. It's this Blue Eyes White Dragon themed gacha machine, and they decided to make that into a card of all things. So like all of you were expecting, Bakura turns out to be Dark Bakura, the spirit of the Millennium Ring, who is after all of the Millennium items. He is going to be dispatched by Yugi here. who also transforms because the puzzle has a spirit inside it as well. That didn't take long. Yugi got his god card. It turns out he got one of them. He won it off strings in the show. So next up, I think it's the duel between the player and Merrick. Quote-unquote Merrick. So I think, you know, given the pattern so far, this is going to be interesting. Thanks for the words of encouragement, Kaiba. But Yugi suspects that something is up. Why would someone pretend to be Merrick? Why would he, as a matter of fact? I mean, like, I don't get why Merrick did the whole pretend to be Yugi's friend thing. I mean, he could get close to Yugi, but I don't really see what the point of that would be. So I have Flash Assailant. This is another card with a huge drawback in the TCG, but not in this game. So it's a 2000 attack and defense point monster. Of course, it gets beaten by Jirai Gumo, who also has no downside to him at all. Okay then, you want to play that way. And this is not good. Merrick has a really, really bad monster that he can tribute for, and I really don't want to see it. It's not even the God card. He's got a lot of Spirit of the Books. He's trying to set up so he can tribute. I know that. I know that for sure. So, let's do this. And these are all 1500 points, so I can take these down very easily. Like, this is my first time seeing this duel, technically, outside of the testing I did. Lots and lots of Spirit of the Books. That doesn't really fit Merrick, if you ask me, but no matter. Starting to contemplate using that, Reflect Bounder as a regular attacker, but I'll just use Skullangle's effect instead. Good to have hand presence, if nothing else. Okay, he's got a face-down card. Let's see... Nope, it's not a trap. This opponent is actually famous for using traps that turn into monster cards. One of such cards does appear in the game, and Kartal actually gave it the trap card background, which I think is interesting. I actually have it in my inventory, so I can show that in a couple of minutes. Or you could pull it out right now. There it is. Embodiment of a Apophis. Yeah. It's actually named after this, well, it's obviously named after something Egyptian, because there's an Egyptian theme in Yu-Gi-Oh!, of course. I can't remember what exactly, though. I might be remembering the wrong divine creature or whatever. So 300 deck capacity for that, and we get the Mystical Beasts of Circuit. This fairy, yeah, you want to claim that's a fairy, go right ahead. It steals, well, it eats an enemy monster and powers itself up, so it's really bad if you want it, if it gets out. And it's level 6. I thought it was level 7, but if it's 1 tribute, that's actually pretty good. So he never busted out the God card. But, I guess having it in your deck is enough to invoke the Wrath of the Gods. If you're unworthy and you use the God card, Ra in particular, the Winged Dragon of Ra, you get smited. And now that Odeon has been smited, that was his real name, by the way, Odeon, which might be a little bit funny to Live Alive players, if you've played that game. I've seen that game. Really nice RPG. Yeah, he gets zapped, and this unleashes Merrick Ishtar's, the real Merrick Ishtar's, dark self. Now, this isn't a spirit that comes from the Millennium Rod, so I always thought the Dark Merrick character was just kind of showed up It's like this dark half of Merrick was created when he underwent a ritual or something, I don't know. It didn't make a lot of sense to me, but Seto Kaiba decides not to kick him from the tournament because he still wants all 3 God cards. Joey's going to face Merrick now. This happened later in the show, but Joey does want to face Merrick in order to defeat him so that Yugi doesn't have to risk his neck against Merrick, which is pretty admirable and honorable. But Joey's gonna lose here. Like, I ask a lot of people about this duel in the show, they say Joey should have won. Like, he was inches away from making the last command that would have defeated Merrick, but he lost anyways because, they were, like, playing a shadow game or whatever, and it causes real damage to the players, so that caused Joey to fall unconscious before he could make the winning play. So I've always thought Joey should be the one to actually, like, wield the Winged Dragon of Ra. I just think Joey, like, got a lot less than he deserved. Yeah, yes, now they mention the Shadow Realm. So far, this game has actually been accurate to the manga rather than the anime dub, but they still throw in Shadow Realm references. And if you come to this room, this game doesn't really convey the context of this scene appropriately. Merrick was just about to stab Odeon with a knife concealed in the Millennium Rod. I don't know how we managed to stop him, but after that event completes, I think you go into... There's a bunch of rooms here. I don't really know why. Maybe they made so many rooms and didn't know what to do with them all. But you just go back into the room where they announced the 4th and final match of the quarterfinals. And the only 2 left are My Valentine and Seto Kaiba. So, Kaiba's just gonna thrash her with 1 Blue Eyes. He doesn't need all 3. In the show, it was she who faced Merrick and got sent to the Shadow Realm, so yet another incentive to... She actually stole the Winged Dragon of Ra and tried to use it against Merrick, but couldn't. I think if she didn't steal that monster, she would have won. Because, yeah, I'm not really conveying the context of the duel, but... Like, if you remember watching the show, then it's probably pretty clear that she would have won had she not tried to use the God card herself. Alright, we're headed to the final stage of the game. And we actually go directly to the finals. In the show, there was a complete filler arc in between the quarterfinals and the semifinals. And I think that was... Like, Sacred Cards was actually made very, very early in the production of the Battle City arc, so I guess they hadn't decided on including a filler arc quite yet. Like, the filler arc basically exists because the anime was producing episodes faster than the manga could be written. So, that's kind of an issue with anime production, when you do it to coincide with the manga. Yes, apparently this island has something to do with Seto Kaiba's father. I don't remember. And normally there would be, well, in the show, there was a battle royale kind of duel, which was interesting. That duel was there just to determine who would face who in the finals. Ladies and gentlemen, there are only 2 more duels left in this game, and then I'm done. First up is Yugi himself. One of us has to face Merrick, so I guess this is as good a way as any to determine who that should be. If I were Joey, I would probably just throw the match outright. Well, no, Joey wouldn't do that. He did that just to allow Yugi to face Pegasus in the manga, though. In the anime, they actually did duel. Alright, this is a better opening than in previous attempts. I've already made a couple of attempts at this. So it's only natural that Yugi should have a really tough deck. And it's pretty accurate to his anime deck as well. I mean, Swords of Revealing Light, you know, one of the most powerful cards you could find. And it flipped Fiend's Hand face up, so I no longer have access to the effect. Go figure. Alright, that was kind of a mistake, using Monster Reborn to bring back a weak monster and then blowing it on a light monster. You know, I'm gonna get rid of Mystical Elf. It seems to be the only monster he's got at the moment. He plays another one, go figure. Swords is still up, so no attacking quite yet. Tributes for Summon Skull. That's fine. I mean, 3250 is pretty disgusting, but it goes down in one shot. I should have played Reflect Bounder, actually. Well, you know what? Reflect Bounder is pretty solid as a regular attacker, because look at this, 2210 on this field. Good thing it's a spellcaster. You've got to be flexible. You don't always need to activate effects. Although in this case, I've got the life points to do Hourglass of Life here. I might be getting extremely lucky here, but I don't know what that sentence just now was. Of course, Gemini Elf. It's a light monster, so of course it destroys a fiend in one go. Okay, play defense until I figure out a way to... Did he play another Summon Skull? Wow. Nice going, AI. That might cost Yugi the entire duel. So much for the King of Games. How did that other guy lose to him? Is that another fiend? It's gotta be. Oh, Big Shield Gardna. 2600 defense. Not easy to overcome. Which means he could tribute for Dark Magician Girl. What do you know? He was gonna play one of his very well-known monsters, but ran into the trap. Sorry, Yugi. Would have loved to see his Dark Magician come out, because that thing has like over 3,000 in this field, and that's a lot of deck capacity and money, and you get the other Dark Magician. Not exactly the finest reward in the world. But there's one more reward, actually. Yugi has entrusted us with Slifer, the executive producer. I'm never gonna stop calling it that. I know it's supposed to be named Osiris in Japan, after the Egyptian god. But seriously, Slifer, the executive producer, is too good. Also, Kaiba invented solid vision long before it became a thing in Arc 5. Amusement for children. I love how dryly he put that. The card is going to maroon you? Is that gonna turn everything red with blood? I don't... Yeah, 3 blue eyes. Should have fused them into Ultimate Dragon, because that would have beaten Ra, actually. 4,500 versus 4,000. So, it's Kaiba that gets sent to the Shadow Realm. And now it's time for the final battle of the game. I'm going to do one more deck edit, because we just got like 600 capacity. And I get to show you my deck at the same time, so I think that works. Darkness Approaches, that's a good one. Alright, here we go. What have you got for me, Merrick? You grew in the Shadow Realm? Well, you're here now, so I guess you must have got out of there. Naturally, we're starting on a Yami field. He starts with Swords of Revealing Light, which is weird. He's got a Jirai Gumo. Well, I want to Heavy Storm to get rid of his down card. Not that I can attack. Good to get rid of it now. Thousand Eyes Restrict, of course. Again, Thousand Eyes Restrict isn't even a tribute monster, or a ritual monster, rather. Doesn't have to tribute or do anything weird to summon it. No tributes required. And it not only steals the monster, but powers it up by 2 levels. But luckily, he stole a very weak monster. And so ran into the trap. So still Swords of Revealing Light, can't do anything. Another one! Okay! This is like the Hall of Eternity at the end of Reshape. Speaking of which, I'm not sure if I want to... Okay, that's very, very bad. Swords still in effect. I should probably not be sending out the big monsters like that. Oh look, Exarion Universe. We get to see that again. Sword's still there. Are you getting sick of that message yet? If he has a third Swords, then I just quit. Okay. What is face down? It's a widespread. And the torrential! Good thing I attacked before summoning. It's so good that you can attack before summoning. It's thanks to that I can actually tolerate torrential tribute. And if he's out of monsters, widespread. Revival Jam. I'm gonna Dark Hole that. It's trying to build up for... I shouldn't have put the card down first. What was I thinking? Okay, you know what? I'll just do 2 of these instead. He could put out a 2 tribute, but it's a fiend monster. So unless there's a trap, another torrential. I have to Dark Hole it because I don't know what it is. Ah, he's so close. He's out of cards. I think I win. First try Merrick. First try Yami Merrick. Putting down the Infinite Dismissal delayed the victory, I guess. Oh, actually no. First try Yami Merrick. Well... Kartal, that's not funny. That is not funny. We're on top of a tower that's going to explode when Kaiba detonates it. Yeah, I know what you did. And our reward for all of that is a lousy fake trap. Actually, it's just Kartal's way of throwing this in. Tested by me, there's his email. So you can tell him exactly what you think of this. Tell him it's a really good patch. Okay, that's that. Merrick's defeated. He goes back to normal. We get the Winged Dragon of Ra, which means we technically have 2 copies of it, but Ishizu's gonna take one. And it's all over. So, final thoughts on this patch. The ending is just gonna roll, and I'll talk while it does. So in the early parts of this patch, it really did revitalize, I guess, is the word, Sacred Cards, because Sacred Cards in vanilla is very poorly balanced. So making it harder, making it easier to use the big cards by giving a lot more deck capacity, it's really good in the early game. I really like it a whole lot. But when you get to Keith at the park, that's where I think things get a little messy. Because, like, you just start running into some really, really big monsters that you, I think the bosses start getting more powerful than you do. And then you start relying on getting a good draw. I mean, I could have, like, Kartal said this to me, I could have, like, beat all of the generic duelists to get some more deck capacity. That probably would have been a good thing. But, like, oh, Mokuba finally says thank you. How nice of him. But I didn't really want to, like, farm or anything. I thought it would be good enough. I thought I would be good enough with just the story duels, because when I was testing this, I think I got lucky a little bit more than I did in this playthrough. Also, you can't not return the god cards. It's the end of the game anyways. So whatever. And this artwork of Odeon, by the way, is really nice looking. Should be coming up right here. Yeah, I think this artwork looks nice. This game really did have art. They drew that entire portrait and gave it mouth frames just for that one line of dialogue. That's weird. So yes, overall thoughts on the patch. Pretty much good. Anything that makes Sacred Cards harder is a good thing. This game really deserved to be more difficult. It didn't extend the length very much, because Sacred Cards is still really short, but the overall experience has been greatly improved. And there were some funny moments throughout this playthrough of it, so I'm pretty happy with the end result. Both for the patch and for my playthrough. I just noticed that Joey has been in his school uniform this entire time. Except for the duel where he was possessed by Merrick. Then he had actual clothes. That's interesting because Yugi has been out of his school uniform for the entire game. And with that, the credits will roll. I don't know if Kartal put his name in the credits anywhere. Anyways, shoutouts to Kazuki Takahashi, who passed away not that long ago. Apparently he died a hero, which is pretty... well, it's sad that he's gone, but, you know... rest in peace, we'll always remember you and this wonderful world of card games and weird characters you've created. This credit sequence is not very long, so we're already at the special thanks. Those are always at the end of the credits, unless you're playing Tetris the Grandmaster. Wink wink. I think this is different artwork. Yugi's grandpa looks so mean there. That's weird. Where's this artwork from? It's usually just taken from the manga or something. These are much more lively. Oh my goodness, I just realized. I think these are the portraits that they use in Reshape of Destruction, because that Ishizu portrait looks very, very similar, and so does the one for Kaiba. Recycling artwork, but at least it looks like nice artwork. That'll do it for the Sacred Cards Kartal Patch playthrough. I don't know if I'm gonna... oh, the end is cut off. Is that an emulator thing? Or did I do something wrong? Well, that's the end. I don't know if and when I'm gonna move on to Reshape of Destruction, because I have a couple of plans. I want to do the Gen 2 Pokemon playthrough, and I also want to do a review of Fire Emblem Engage, which I have been playing recently and researching heavily. So I want to do a review of that, because Engage definitely deserves a full review from me. So look forward to that, and as always, whatever happens next, I'll be there for it, and I hope you will be too. So that's it for Yu-Gi-Oh! The Sacred Cards. See you later, everybody!